The underwater city of Atlantis remained on edge. Nightmariner's rebellion was gaining traction, his influence spreading like a dark tide through the districts. As the Rangers took their posts to protect their respective territories, the weight of their new roles grew heavier. For some, it was a chance to protect their home. For others, it was an opportunity to prove their worth. But beneath the chaos, deeper secrets began to surface, threatening to change the course of their lives forever. In the Hall of Guardians, Damaris stood before the Atlantean core, his golden armor reflecting the pulsing blue light of the ancient energy source. The four Rangers stood before him, their weapons in hand, ready to face whatever came next. Nightmariner isn't just spreading fear, Damaris said, his voice steady but grim. He's corrupting the people of Atlantis. His shadow seekers are infected with the same toxin that fuels him, and their numbers are growing. Each of you must return to your districts. Protect your people, and keep an eye out for signs of infection. The team nodded, though the weight of his words was clear. As the Rangers dispersed, Proteus entered the chamber, her presence grounding Damaris for a brief moment. She placed a hand lightly on his arm, her sapphire eyes searching his face. "Will they be enough?" she asked softly. "They have to be," he replied, his voice carrying a hint of weariness. He hesitated before speaking again. "Proteus, there's something you should." She interrupted him with a faint smile, her tone more pointed than her words. "Not now, Damaris. Atlantis needs you." She glanced down briefly, her hand drifting to her abdomen before she turned and left the room. Damaris lingered, his expression conflicted. In the bustling northern trade district, Pharion walked among the citizens he had grown up with. The market square, once lively and filled with laughter, was tense. Merchants exchanged worried glances, and whispers of dissent carried through the air. Pharion approached an old friend, a fellow blacksmith named Joran, who was hammering away at a damaged coral forge. "What's going on, Joran?" he asked, leaning against the workbench. "The people are scared," Joran replied, wiping sweat from his brow. "They don't trust the court anymore. They think Nightmariner might have a point." Pharion's expression hardened. "Nightmariner isn't their savior. He's the one causing all this." Before Joran could respond, a sharp cry rang out. A group of shadow seekers emerged from the shadows, their corrupted energy sparking wildly. Pharion tightened his grip on his molten hammer, stepping between the attackers and the frightened citizens. "Stay behind me!" he called out as he charged into battle, his weapon glowing with fiery energy. In the eastern Aqueduct district, Gala inspected the waterways with a careful eye. As an engineer, she had spent years maintaining the intricate system that kept Atlantis thriving. Now, it was her responsibility to protect it. She stopped by a control station where a young apprentice was nervously adjusting the valves. "Relax," Gala said with a reassuring smile. "You've got this." The apprentice nodded, but before he could reply, the ground trembled. Shadow Seekers swarmed the area, their energy crackling as they targeted the water flow gates. Gala sprang into action, her tidal spear shimmering with oceanic light. She struck with precision, her movements honed from years of problem-solving under pressure. In the southern farming domes, Haust walked through the fields, his rune staff glowing faintly. The crops, vital to Atlantis' survival, pulsed with bioluminescent energy, but a dark patch of coral at the edge of the dome caught his attention. Haust knelt beside the corrupted area, his scholarly instincts taking over. "This toxin," he muttered, "it's spreading faster than I anticipated." A farmer approached him, panic in his voice. "Ranger Haust, there's something moving in the fields." Haust rose, his calm demeanor masking his concern. As shadow seekers emerged, he raised his staff, summoning a protective barrier. His calculated strikes kept the attackers at bay, his mind racing to find a solution to the spreading corruption. In the western waterways, Lazo darted along the canals, his dual-bladed trident spinning in his hands. The harbor was unusually quiet, and the tension in the air was palpable. He noticed a group of fishermen arguing near a blocked canal. "What's the problem?" Lazo asked, landing gracefully beside them. "The canal's jammed," one of them said. "We'll lose everything if we can't clear it." Lazo grinned. "Don't worry, I've got this." With a few swift moves, he cleared the blockage, but the moment of triumph was short-lived. Shadow Seekers appeared, their corrupted energy rippling through the water. "Great," Lazo muttered. Can't a guy catch a break? He engaged the attackers with his usual flair, his quick movements keeping them off balance. In a darkened chamber near the corrupted grid, Stavros, now fully consumed as Nightmariner, knelt before his shadow seekers. His breath came in ragged gasps, and his hands trembled as he drew energy from the toxin. His once imposing armor now seemed strained, flickering with instability. "You have served me well," he rasped, his voice distorted. "Now, become more." With a surge of energy, he fused the shadow seekers into a massive, hulking shadow beast. The monster roared, its body crackling with corrupted energy as it rampaged toward the aqueducts, threatening to poison all of Atlantis. The Rangers regrouped at the aqueducts, facing the towering shadow beast. Each of their attacks seemed to barely scratch the monster, its corrupted energy surging back with every blow. "It's too strong," Gala said, her voice strained as she deflected a massive energy blast. Damaris activated his communicator. "Joe, we need help." Joe's voice crackled through the device. "Sending you something special. The Levia Zord. I designed it for emergencies, and I'd say this qualifies." The ground beneath them rumbled, and from the depths of Atlantis, the massive Levia Zord rose. Its sleek Atlantean design shimmered with gold and blue accents, its body shaped like a leviathan with glowing fins and a sharp, angular head. The Rangers stared in awe as the cockpit opened. "We're piloting that?" Lazo exclaimed, his excitement barely contained. Damaris nodded. "Let's go." Inside the cockpit, the Rangers synced their tri-staffs with the controls. The Zord roared to life, its movements fluid and powerful. As the shadow beast charged, the Levia Zord transformed into its warrior mode, standing tall and ready for battle. The fight was intense, the Levia Zord clashing with the shadow beast in a flurry of strikes and energy blasts. The Zord's trident weapon struck with precision, cutting through the creature's corrupted energy. The Rangers worked together, their movements in perfect sync as they unleashed a powerful finishing move, the Leviathan's strike. The trident glowed with energy as the Zord hurled it at the shadow beast, piercing its core. The monster roared as it disintegrated, its corrupted energy dissipating. The infected citizens collapsed, freed from Nightmariner's control. In his lair, Stavros staggered, his armor flickering as the toxin ravaged his body. He fell to his knees, coughing violently, dark energy spilling from his mouth. His voice was a desperate growl as he muttered, "This city will be mine, even if it kills me." His reflection in a cracked mirror revealed his deteriorating state, his once fierce appearance now gaunt and sickly. Back in the throne room, Damaris stood before Poseidon, reporting the events of the battle. Proteus entered quietly, her gaze meeting Damaris's. "You saved them," she said softly, her voice filled with both gratitude and something deeper. "For now," he replied, his tone heavy with the weight of responsibility. Proteus hesitated, then placed her hand on her abdomen, her voice trembling slightly. "You can't keep carrying this burden alone, Damaris. Atlantis needs you, and so will this child."